Hey guys, we have a small update to start off the year, so I'm going to try and condense this into one long video instead of splitting it like I often do. But jump right into it. So first things first, I'll go over the challenge browser. There was a bunch of new features here. So we've got this icon, which has always been completion rate, can now be toggled to loss rate. So completion rate, loss rate, and basically what this means is this trophy, the completion rate, is a percentage that tells you the number of people who have attempted a challenge at all. It doesn't account for the number of times they attempted it, just the number of people, and then the number of people who eventually beat that challenge. And this number is the number of fails that have happened on a challenge by the number of successes, like the number of actual victories. So this one here, it accounts for if someone loses multiple times, for example. Like one person loses twice, but wins once, then it goes down by 2 losses. But this one, if one person loses like 5 times and they win once, then that's just a 50-50 because they attempted it and they won it eventually. So yeah, just a tip on what you can kind of gather from this. If you see there's a small difference between these numbers, so like 89 to 99, it's a really small gap there, especially when these are high numbers. This probably means it's not quite so good a challenge, because basically, well, it's probably easier to explain on a bigger difference. So this one's got a really low number of total wins, 8%. But then the actual completion is 40%. That's way higher. And what that can basically tell you is that even though a lot of people lost this challenge, they thought that it was fun, so they kept on playing, and they kept on playing until they won. Given that the 40 is that's more than 4 times as big as the 8, then I kind of gather from that this is probably a fun challenge. This one, on the other hand, the numbers are really close. That means that it's with the harder numbers, it's hard to say because people aren't just losing. But basically, if a lot of people lost it, and so let's just pretend, for example, that this was 8 and 9. So that would mean a lot of people lost it and not many people won it. That means people just couldn't be bothered finishing it, or it was just too hard. It can be one of those two things. If you're looking for a really hard challenge, then getting like 8 and 8 would make it hard, maybe, but it might also mean that it's just not fun and no one could be bothered finishing it. So you kind of have to weigh up what you're looking for there. You can kind of work stuff out. Yeah. You can see there's a couple stars here. That's because if you view someone's profile, and actually you have to go in here. So you see a challenge, you can click on their profile to view their profile. This is actually my test account, so this isn't a real person. Don't there's no reason to follow them or like the challenge. But basically, see there's no star here. You can click follow, and now they have a star here. So this will show on the list anyone that you've followed has a star. But then also, there's a new option here, following under the sort list, and this will only show you challenges from people that you have followed. And I don't really have many people followed yet, but once I work out who people are and find their challenges, we can start doing that. So yeah, go ahead and start following ISAB with like 3,400 followers, and already, great work ISAB, you're very popular. And yeah, also, a lot of people requested this, especially ISAB, so we now have a double cache disabled option when you're making challenges. I'm personally not a fan of this because I think, if people want to ruin a challenge for themselves, I don't care, it's up to them. But it was affecting stats, and people didn't like it affecting their stats for their challenges, so, just how it is, I guess. There you go, you have that option now, and we'll see how that goes. There's a few more things in the background, but you may have also noticed, let's go back to my following list. There is now a symbol here for this challenge. You're not going to see this often. There are greater than and lesser than symbols for any time a challenge has significantly less than 1% or significantly more than 99%. So if you see those, you know a challenge is either extremely hard or extremely easy. Like this one, which is mainly just hard because it's a 100-round challenge. I think that's something you got to watch out for as well. But you can also search with limited round numbers now. So yeah, you can kind of cut down things, longer challenges like that you don't like. One thing worth noting though, this search does not work on any challenge created before this version, unfortunately, because these numbers were just not being tracked on the server for the challenge browser. So that's not something that will work, unfortunately. But any challenge made from now on, this will apply to. As you can see, there's also a new option here, hide completed. And if you look here, you can see the ticks. This means I've completed that challenge. If I tick the hide completed and come back here, obviously all my following list is not going to work. I can go to expert, for example. Let's go, yeah, here we go. So this one I've completed on the casual list. If I hide completed and look back here, it is now gone. So you can just use this to filter lists by ones that you haven't attempted or you haven't beat yet. If you want to cut things out, I feel like hopefully this will be a really nice feature for the content creators who like to play challenges, but we'll see. See what they think. There's a bunch of other small things in the challenge browser and some behind the scene things that don't really need to be talked about, but yeah, generally it has been improved. Hopefully that is nice for you guys, and we'll move on now. Actually, my favorite map. So let's quickly show off some of the skins. We have spike balls now make pineapples. Yeah, you have to get this from the trophy store, but there you go. They make pineapples, and then another new trophy store item makes the balloons explode into little pop words, which I love, and I'm never turning off again because I love it so much. It's like the best thing ever. So yeah, spike factories. Pineapple factories are finally a real thing in the game. This has been something that has been requested for ages. Now it's a skin. It's not an actual special factory type, but you know, skin's cool. I don't have the trucker hats on, but because I prefer the hatchets personally. But there's also a trucker hat skin. We put hats on them, and there's a lantern BFB, which a lot of people are liking, but I like the spaceship one. Actually, you know what? Let's chuck these on. Alright, so we got the lantern BFB here. I will throw that on. Might leave that on. And the trucker hats. And we have Street Party. So I'm gonna turn that up. Street Party finally in balloons. Here we go. So this will be a lantern with a trucker hat. There we go. There we go. Enjoy that. And not too much else there. Couple avatars. One thing worth noting, there is now a warning that attempts to play, but there are some VPN and DNS-based filters which have been blocking certain elements from loading in the game, which is really annoying because it's not a bug with the game, it's just these things have started blocking us, and a lot of people are just reporting that as a bug. Hopefully this will warn you when that happens now, but if you can't load your profile or can't see the daily challenge and stuff like that, please note that it's probably because of some sort of setting on your device to do with a VPN or an ad blocker or something, which is blocking the Ninja Kiwi domain. So disable those, anything like that you have, and if it starts working, it means that it's definitely because of this, and then you can go in, you can re-enable it. You just have to go through your settings and find where it's blocking something related to Ninja Kiwi. Just remove Ninja Kiwi from the filter, and you should be able to load your profile fine again, view all the work. So yeah. Anyway, so there was some bugs with the view in the UI here, which have been resolved. And I'm not going to try and go through all of that and work it out, but one of them was Alchemist. Every time your Alchemist buffed a tower you had selected, it would close these, which is kind of hilarious. Yeah, I don't know how that was happening. I can't lose in Sandbox, but now first ever continue to be used by every player is free. You've probably already noticed this, you might have already used it. You get one. It's not per game, it's one ever. So use it whenever you feel like it. It doesn't really matter, but hey, you got that now. Anyway, let's turn this music back down now. Even though I love Street Party, enjoy that. I'm gonna enjoy that song. Do we have a thing now? So yeah, we have icon here for custom rounds, because often Odysseys these days have some special changes. There's now an icon to display when there have been changes to the rounds. I need to finish my Odyssey. Huh. Some leaderboard sorting has been fixed. This includes tiebreakers now properly tie-breaking, because, you know, that was annoying. A pop-lip screen now actually displays a victory, so there you go, you get a victory screen in Apocalypse at round 60. Scroll down here, we've got most experienced monkey and most experienced monkey and how much XP it has. So I got like 60 million on my ace, cool. Oh yep, Bazaar has been nerfed. This is exciting news because Bazaar kind of sucked for the category it's in, at least. So you could fit towers in the middle of Bazaar, you could always do this, but now you can fit bigger towers in the middle. Can't fit Super Monkey, nope. But, you know, you can fit medium towers now, including your wizard and your druid. These will now fit here, which is kind of nice for a few reasons. So good luck beating Bazaar if you were not able to before, and many apologies for everyone who did beat it when it was way harder. But yeah, I'm going to skip over the bug fixes, but these will be in the description if you want to look over them for yourself. Is there any important bug fixes? Okay, Necromancer. Let's jump back into my favorite map. So Necromancer has been fixed. So you may have noticed the Necromancer here. There was an issue where occasionally the round counter would just jump down. This is because of a weird way in which it consumed this, so that has been fixed. And basically, this makes the Necromancer way more consistent. It's able to retain balloons in its graveyard way better than it was before. So that's pretty cool. That's actually a fairly big buff to it. So yeah, if you like Necromancers, that's going to be pretty good for you. And an issue for like Urban and Brickle mainly, their track items now save correctly. There was an issue where if they leveled up after placing a track item, this would not save. And the Backroom Deals Bank Knowledge now correctly works again. This was for IMF loan. It made you pay the loan back a bit slower, so you had more money in the meantime. But yeah. Okay, onto the balance changes finally. And I should probably mark this spot in the description, so if you want to skip to this, then you probably have now, or you didn't read my description. Either way, read my descriptions, because sometimes they matter. Whatever, not so much anymore. Anyway, onto the balance changes. Dart Monkey, Juggernaut. It now has half the pierce, but double the damage. So if we send a pink balloon here, you'll see, bang, goes down to a green instead of yellow. For the average player, this is a big buff. Like, there's no other way about it. It has 50 pierce. There's not many times in any real circumstance you're gonna hit 50 pierce, so this is basically just the double damage, which is pretty epic. This will change it in races, and we'll see how that adds up. Having half the pierce in races matters. Having double the damage more than makes up for this, because damage is actually important when you're looking at things like a Rainbow Balloon, for example. You hit that, it goes down to blacks and whites, which is actually quite a big damage increase. Whenever you split into multiple children, the damage carries over to both, so you're getting more than double damage. But for example, if you alchemist buff your jug, you were getting double damage already in a race. So if you're alch buffing a jug in a race now, you're only getting 50% damage. So we'll see how that adds up. Personally, I think this will pretty much even out. But whatever. We'll have to wait and see there. Sharpshooter was just reworked a little bit. So the damage was reduced from 6 to 5, but the attack speed was increased. So it makes it more consistent in, most cases. Not that you can really tell. Yeah. But yeah. Overall, it's roughly similar. Yeah, that was a nice snipe. But it's just a little faster now with less damage per hit. Glaive Lord, price was just reduced, and my monkey knowledge is reducing it further, but it was reduced to 3,500. It was 5,000 cheaper now. Mob Maulers, the ceramic damage was reduced from 4 to 3. Actually, I'll put it here so I can show this. This is unchanged at the tier 4 though, but if I send a ceramic now, you see that would have broke the ceramic layer before. Now it needs one extra hit to break it, which you can do with a dart monkey or whatever. Tack Shooter was only changed in the tack zone. So basically, tack zone, the bottom path, tier 5, it added so much pierce and range that getting the range and pierce in the middle path literally meant absolutely nothing. There's no reason you would ever do that. It was just dumb compared to like doubling your attack speed at the top. Now, it has less range, but it has 2 damage. Damage is increased from 1 to 2. The base tack zone, pierce was reduced from 9 to 4, so it's a little bit under half. Damage was doubled and range was decreased. So overall, the single target is way stronger. This isn't exactly a good place to put a tack zone, but whatever, especially if you go top path, the single target's way stronger. But now the middle path increases its pierce to 10, so it was more than before. It increases the range to 50, which is a little bit more than before. Not really significantly a lot, but what am I doing there? Put it here. Yeah, so basically it's an actual viable choice of pierce versus DPS versus single target. This one has so much pierce, it'll kind of cut through most things. They're pretty similar. This makes it a better tower on its own, but it will interact with buffs a bit weaker than before. So, this is something we'll have to wait and see how it pans out. But overall, I think it makes it a better tower on its own, with a more interesting choice there for the cross path. Glue Gunner. So Balloon Dissolver is like $100 cheaper, but I didn't mean to buy that. Balloon Dissolver, Balloon Liquefier. I would say Balloon Dissolver, $100 cheaper. Balloon Liquefier gains 1 pierce. So kind of the problem with this tier 5 is that while the cross path is kind of a good choice, like there's reasons to use either, a lot of people prefer to use the bottom path for the slow effect it has and the longer lasting. However, it's really difficult to save up for the 502 because the 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 0 or 02 are just so bad. They're not terrible, but they just don't hit enough. So this now has 2 pierce. As you can see, it pierces through the balloon. The first balloon it hits, so you hit 2 of them. Double damage, basically. Making it a much better stepping stone if you haven't gone the middle path. There is an issue with this at the moment, where for some reason if you go 4, 1, 0, it doesn't gain 3 pierce. But that will be looked at in future. Bottom path, Mob Glue. The Mob Glue effect is a little bit worse. However, the Relentless Glue effect is a little bit better. So Relentless Glue is as strong as it was before. Mob Glue is slightly less slowy against Moabs. Sniper Monkey. Cripple Moab now has 80 damage, so Send a Moab. You can't even see it. 3 shots and the Moab's gone. And then it one-shots these ceramics. So going further, focusing on it being a single target thing, no buff was applied to the shrapnel, however. So technically the DPS of the shrapnel crosspath was nerfed. However, you're probably still going to want shrapnel anyway because of the previous buff, which makes the shrapnel stun and apply the debuff. So not really a huge problem there. Now, supply drop doubles the pierce of the shrapnel. So if you have 2 of these now, you're paying roughly like a little bit over double the price, but this guy now, instead of just giving you the ability, has 2 times the pierce and the shrapnel. A little bit of a buff there. Plutonium reactor, this is pretty much a nerf. Not one that you'll really notice much because 70 pierce was unrealistic to achieve. But basically, the base plutonium reactor, which had 70 pierce, has been nerfed down to 50. And the middle crosspath, which brought it up to 84, has been buffed up to 100. So now this upgrade makes it 70 pierce, and this upgrade makes it 100 pierce. The bottom crosspath, if you go for the Twin Guns Airburst, it still also enhances the attack speed of the reactor. So I think in most cases you probably want to go the bottom path still, because that increases your single target, and you're not likely going to reach those high pierce numbers often. But seeing how this plays out, we can look at further reworks to the plutonium reactor there to make sure those are both interesting, useful choices. Monkey Ace! This one I actually quite like. So it has been dubbed a sniper rework for some reason, even though sniper's not the only tower or even the first tower that had a rework like this. But basically, the rapid fire crosspath, which gave a 40% rate buff, has been nerfed down to 25%. However, the base ace, 000, has been buffed by that amount to make it just faster on its own. So it's not quite as useless to just place the base ace. And also, the radius of these darts has been increased from 2 to 3, so it kind of hits things a little bit easier now. In addition to this, Exploding Pineapple had its rate buffed. Spectre always gained 25% rate from the rapid fire, so now it's just the rapid fire is 25% to everything, so it's more, streamlined, a bit more easy to understand. It's in general, it's just a buff to avoiding rapid fire. Rapid fire is still just as powerful if you get it, because the amount that it adds onto the base ace just adds up to the same number as before. But if you don't get it, then your ace is faster on its own. And another cool thing here, which we'll have to see how this goes, because it could be a bit performance heavy, but Spectre doesn't miss quite so much anymore. As you can see, the darts have had a very slight amount of homing added to them, and you can see that here, the darts are hitting and the bombs are missing. This is intended, like the bombs didn't get homing, just the darts, because it was, never miss only applied it to the darts. But yeah, so basically you don't lose, you never miss anymore. You still have a little bit of homing there, and this is pretty strong, in my opinion. Like, the amount of added potential it has from not missing just on those darts is pretty high. And the bombs, they're big enough that, like, if you're targeting Moabs, you're not going to miss them anyway. It's still going to hit the Moab class balloons because of their massive hitboxes. And yeah, and this still applies at the Flying Fortress. All those darts will hit, as well as the Flying Fortress having its price reduced by another 5,000. Comanche Defense. Another one that I actually like. This has been seeing more love lately, surprisingly. These Comanches now last a little longer. Duration was increased from 12 to 15. If you don't understand how these work, basically, every 25% of the track's distance that a balloon passes summons a heli. And when it reaches the next 25%, it refreshes the duration of any current helis on the screen. So, as you can see, it gets one, and then around here it'll get a second one. The first one gets refreshed, and when it gets to the end, the third one, the first two get refreshed. If these expire before getting refreshed, it will summon 2 here and 3 at the end. So You get a lot of little guys coming in there. The main guy's still pretty weak, but these guys, they're getting pretty good. I would say this tower is actually quite fun now, and it actually does seem to be getting pretty popular, which is amusing. We need more synergies based on track distance, like Elite Defender, because I quite like those. Wizard Lord Phoenix is an interesting one, but because we've avoided changing the Wizard Lord Phoenix for a long time for a number of reasons, but get to that. So Dragon's Breath now buffs the tier 1 Fireball, if you know that. So Fireball, it was always kind of terrible past this upgrade. It mattered in the early game, but it was very weak later on. There's not much reason for it to still exist. So Dragon's Breath now buffs the Fireball. The Fireball's radius was increased from 10 to 14 at the tier 3 upgrade. The damage is also increased from 1 to 3 at this tier 3 upgrade. And Wizard Lord Phoenix has had its price reduced by 6,000. And additionally, this Fireball is again buffed from 1 to 9 damage now, and the main Wizard Lord Phoenix's Dragon Breath attack was increased from 1 to 2 damage. So this is all kind of minor stuff, like compared to his ability, all these buffs are quite small. This thing just destroys them. But it's something for the base guy in his small radius, wherever he is, while that's on cooldown. To hopefully make him a little bit more interesting there. Now back to the Necromancer. As I mentioned before, this Necromancer got a pretty big buff from the Graveyard in that bug fix. But now additionally, the Tier 5 has had its Graveyard duration increased from 2 to 3. So basically, it keeps balloons in its grave for 3 rounds now instead of 2. However, the damage stack buff was nerfed. So previously, this tower basically, it gains 10 stacks of damage depending on its graveyard. Previously this capped at 2,000, now it caps at 3,000. It still gets the same damage buff. However, you have to get to 3,000 grave to reach this now instead of 2,000. That's basically all there is to it. So this is a nerf. However, it's actually a buff, to be completely honest, because of the bug fix that was mentioned before. It's so much more consistent now in retaining Graveyard, as well as the 2 to 3 rounds. The bug fix and that change, they make it so much more consistent that this is just a buff. It doesn't matter that the stacks take longer to build up because you just have more grave more often. It's just, yeah. It's a little bit tricky to get that final stack, like hovering around 2,999 to 3,000, but not really. Not really, honestly. It's just overall a buff. This one is kind of a fun change. I like it, but Lead to Gold. This is kind of interesting in some cases. Really good in Apocalypse, not really much else anywhere else. But now, it one-shots lead balloons. It literally one-shots lead balloons instead of just doing regular damage to them and giving you money for it. It now one-shots them and give you money for it. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Also, if you give it camera detection, you can see, kind of missed it there. It goes up by a lot. It deals 10 damage to DDTs as well. Now, is this going to be a viable DDT defense? Yeah, probably not. Probably not. But it is able to one-shot leads now, and who knows what we can get in future there. Now this one, Druid Superstorm, finally got a big pierce buff. So Ball Lightning price was reduced from 6,000 to 5,500. Superstorm still expensive, but the pierce has been increased dramatically. What am I saying? So send around 98 here, and I'll get Heart of Vengeance as well, just for the 10% boost. And you can see it's actually knocking back a couple zombies at a time now, when previously it couldn't really do that. It's stalling this whole round. That's not going to last too long, I bet. Once they start breaking open, it'll struggle a little bit. Oh no, who knows? So previously it consumed a way more pierce on higher targets, and this has been changed a bit so that it's able to more reliably push back high tier Moabs. So Superstorm itself has like 200 or 300 PS, but it was 20 on. It used 20 of this on each Moab before. This was reduced to 5. It used 50 of this on BFBs. That was reduced to 20. It used 200 of this on each Zomj, and that was reduced to 50. And it used 50 of this on every DDT. That has now been reduced to 10. So yeah, when you're getting swarmed with a lot of Moabs, you still suck up, like, they still suck up a lot of that, but when there's just a few strong slow targets like this, it has no problem stalling those whatsoever now. Pretty cool. And you get those ball lightnings coming out. And look at it, you actually get decent damage because of all the ball lightnings now. It's actually doing reasonable damage. So, are we going to see this used in chimps? Probably not. You know, maybe challenges, but it's not going to be a viable chimps tower. But it's a lot better now. So, more interesting. Now, Monkey Bank price was nerfed only a little bit, $200, 3,300 to 3,500. Spike Factory had a rework as well. Quickly get that. So there is a Monkey Knowledge, as you just saw, it was 850. There's a Monkey Knowledge that reduces it to the previous price of 850. However, the base price has been increased to 1,000. Along with the attack speed being buffed quite a bit at the base form, the delay was reduced from 2.2 seconds to 1.75, and this buff to the attack speed was taken out of the middle path, which previously more than doubled the attack speed. Now the tier 1 was nerfed from 40% to 20%, but the tier 2 was buffed from 25% to 30%. It's a little bit less than double speed now, which means also the price is cheaper. So both those upgrades are $100 cheaper. Oh, sorry, they're actually the same amount, more cheap, as the base is more expensive. But with that, the bigger stacks is more damage now, so you actually have a choice. Previously, middle path was just the best, like you never didn't pick that. Now, top path has more DPS. However, middle path is more consistent because of the attack speed. So there's a much stronger choice there. Also, as I mentioned in my last update video, the bottom path is technically the strongest of the three now, and this is even more the case now that the middle path is not quite as dominant. You get 2 times lifespan, which is 2 times damage if you're reaching your lifespan. Like, if you're not reaching your lifespan, it's not really a big deal. However, in addition to this 2 times lifespan, you get that burst of extra attacks at the start of each round. So, it's middle. Okay, so yeah, bottom path was useless forever. Now it's kind of like, okay, I can see it mattering. You're probably still going to pick the top 2 most of the time, but you know. Along with this, Carpet of Spikes is $2,000 cheaper. So, a bunch of little things there. Monkey Village, Call to Arms was increased in duration from 10 to 12 seconds. Now, another kind of large one. A lot of things going on here. So, Sentry mixed with Deconstruction. The Deconstruction now applies to Sentries somewhat. It gives +1 damage to Fortified and Moab class. So, these which previously did 1 damage now do 2 to any bigger targets. Additionally, what am I looking at? So, the Oversized Nails was previously buffed to add +1 to Sentries already. However, this didn't really do anything for Sentry Expert, like whatsoever, because all of the Sentry Expert Sentries have higher PS. So now, Oversized Nails was buffed to give roughly 25% extra PS to every type of special Sentry. So yeah, just kind of a bit of a 401 specific cross-path buff there. The Crushing one was buffed from 22 to 28, the Bomb was buffed 30 to 38, and the Cold one was buffed 15 to 19. So, little thing there. Minor one, but the Overclock Tower itself, this now has more PS. It was increased from 3 to 15 PS. The projectile speed was doubled. So, why am I in fast forward again? So yeah, the projectile speed's pretty fast, and it pierces for a lot of things. Just to kind of encourage you to actually put it next to the track more often. So yeah, that's a thing that exists. Ultra Boost was increased from 3 to 30 pierce, so like it's like a mini Juggernaut for 100k, but you know it exists, it happened. More importantly, Ultra Boost cooldown was buffed from 45 seconds to 35 seconds, and this means Ultra Boost with an Energizer will now have 100% uptime. Even on tier 5 towers. So you can just use one Ultra Boost to buff your temple in free play, and the buff will never expire now. As long as you have an Energizer to reduce its cooldown, and yeah. So that's kind of a nice thing there. It also means that you'll be able to stack up your buffs more quickly, like 10 seconds faster, which is pretty useful. And finally for the Engineer, Balloon Trap, which until last update was only 1 per round. This now, as of last update, it summons them every 20 seconds instead of once per round. This was buffed from 20 to 15 seconds, so quite a big rate buff there. And also, in addition to this, the faster engineering, which gave a 20% faster balloon trap, now gives a 40% faster balloon trap. So you get them like really frequently now. See, really frequently. You can actually kind of just spam your balloon traps as long as you pick them up. So yeah, balloon trap is starting to become useful. And I'll get rid of these quickly. Actually, what am I doing? Moabs can't suck that up. Silly me. Okay. Dartling Gunner has already got some changes. So the Plasma Accelerator, previously the Laser Shock only applied at the tip where my mouse is. Actually, let's just lock it for good measure. Yeah, so it only applied to the tip down there. Now this entire beam can apply the Laser Shock from the tier 2. So as you'll see, things go past and they get shocked. So that's a pretty reasonable buff there. There's also a bit of a problem with it performing even better than intended, but yeah. So for most cases, beam is not quite so useless. However, you still do want to focus this focal point to really apply the damage, because, you know, that's where all the power is, really. Also, Ray of Doom price was reduced by 15k. It is now only 95. The 140 Rocket Storm was buffed. Actually, I'll put it over here. For cooldown. So this is a much tighter spread than before. So previously the tighter spread only applied a 30% spread reduction to the ability. It was 60% to everything else. Now it also applies 60% to the ability. So it's just 60% tighter spread on every Dartling thing. So if you're looking at long distance Rocket Storm, the focused firing is much better now than it used to be. You'd still need to compare for yourself to see if you prefer the Pierce. Pierce is pretty nice. Also, the tier 5 on that path is $5,000 cheaper. Now, Buckshot is $200 cheaper. However, it now knocks back balloons, which is pretty nice. However, it's pretty nice at tier 3. However, when you get to tier 4, it's really nice. You kind of just, oh yeah, that's really nice. And when you get the tier 5 here, you can just also note that this is super ceramic rounds. You just completely annihilate, you stun lock and annihilate the ceramics. So a fairly big path to all the bottom path Dartlings there in that knockback. This is only to regular balloons though, not Moabs. I don't have Gwendolyn, but her Heated Up should now trigger about 30% more frequently at all of her levels, which is a reasonable buff there. We'll see how she goes. Also, Adora has had a buff to her Ball of Light, which was previously doing about 2 damage. It's now 3. At level 15, this increases to 4. Level 20 is still the same. So her mid-levels had a bit of improvement to the Ball of Light there. Etienne, who has been really dominating things, was nerfed a little bit. I'll just go into his upgrade here. So the level 10 UCAV duration was reduced from 20 to 18 seconds. Level 15 duration was reduced from 25 to 20. And it remains 20 second duration all the way until level 20. So that is all of the changes for this update. A rather small one because Ninja Kiwi is just coming back to the office after a long break over the holidays. But hopefully everyone enjoys. And I'll see you around.